We're currently making a Prehistory Guys special called 10 Amazing Megalithic Monuments from Around the World That Aren't Stonehenge or Göbekli Tepe. A bit of a mouthful, but you get the drift. We're going to be showing you our choice of the biggest, the oldest, the heaviest, the weirdest, the you-name-itest from all over the planet. At this time, the show isn't ready to share quite yet, but by way of a little teaser, here's what's going to be the very first item in the programme. And it's Dolmens Jim, but not as we know them. In our first stop, we boldly go to Spain's Costa del Sol and to what is likely the oldest monument out of the 10, the colossal Dolmen de Menga. Okay, so first of all, we're going to the Dolmen de Menga in Spain. There are several reasons why I think, Rupert, this gets it into our list, not only just onto the list, but being first on the list because it is the mostest in several regards. I think it's the oldest monument that we've got on the list, though I think you might dispute that a bit later on.
I might, but it certainly will. It's certainly right up there, isn't it? We know that. Yeah.
This is definitely the largest megalithic site monument, call it what you will, in Andalusia, in the whole of the Andalusian peninsula. It is probably one of the largest on the list as well. Anyway, we probably better talk more about what it is exactly that we're talking about. I said in the introduction there, so that it's a Dolmen Jim, but not as we know it. So the word dolmen on the continent has slightly different connotations to the way that we would use the word dolmen. It's a more generic term on the continent for megalithic sites. We would use it more to do with these more open structures, little smaller structures, with a single capstan on top, with minimum of 2, but more usually 3 stones supporting it.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking more about dolmens in that kind of way later on. But no, here at the Dolmen de Menga, we've got something more like what we'd call a passage grave, something like that. Is that?
Yes, I think that's fair. Passage tomb.
Passage tomb. So, yes, we've got capstans and we've got supporting things, but we've got an enclosed tomb here. That tomb, we say tomb, that's what we presume about it, but with massive stones, in this case, used to support it. Got a really long passage with colossal stones on either side, supporting huge capstans over the top. Do you know what? I've been to Malaga on the Costa del Sol a couple of times, and I didn't know this place was here. Oh man, if only I'd known. It's just 30 miles north of Malaga, up there beyond the hills on the sort of plain behind. So we'll definitely be going there when we make our film, won't we? Because
we most definitely will. But isn't it? It's funny you could say that you could probably say it about almost anywhere in the world, that unless you know about prehistoric sites being here, there, and, you could go on holiday somewhere and not have a clue that you were within a few miles of something truly ancient.
Yeah, but this is on our list because it is colossally important, and I think will turn out to be colossally important in terms of large communities doing, extraordinary business to do with the Mediterranean and the Mediterranean trade to the Atlantic, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
More of that, in another place, another time, perhaps. The date we're talking about is 3700 BC. That's the earliest date that we've got from C14 for the construction of it. It is slightly debatable, but it falls into what you can deem from the other structures around. Talking of the other structures around, Dolmen de Menga is one of what is collectively known as the Dolmens de Antequera, and there are two others, the Dolmen de Vieira and the Dolmen
El Romeral.
Romeral, that's the one. Thank you so much. Rescued me there. In terms of overall scheme, it's useful to kind of compare it to Newgrange. Though this is 500. This is 500 years before Newgrange was built, and as an aside, 1,200 years before Stonehenge went up. Just a bit of chronological context there. Yes. Yeah. So, like Newgrange, we've got a large circular mound there. I think Newgrange mound may be bigger than this mound, but inside in the passage, it's a completely different story. What is it? Newgrange is the passage at La Menga inside is 90 foot long, and it's 20 foot wide and 11 foot high, and it's got supporting pillars on the inside to support the centres of those massive capstones. Yeah. Newgrange, by comparison, the passage is only 63 foot long. It's 2/3 of the length, but to go down it is quite a narrow squeeze.
Yeah,
single file job down there, and you have to watch your head, as I remember, going down.
Certainly do. Yeah, certainly do. It's all right for short people like me, but yeah.
So, what La Menga represents in the area is an extraordinary effort by what must have been extraordinary group of human beings. For want of a better word, it is an extraordinary expression of monumentalism. Like, they knew what they wanted. They knew that they were building for permanence and for memory and what have you. And the other extraordinary thing about this site that has it be special is it's always been an open site. Like, it's always been known about. Not like so many megalithic sites, ancient megalithic sites, being covered up in the past. Like Newgrange was not known about until it was rediscovered and excavated, not so long ago. Dolmen de Menga has always been known about, and always, it seems, been in use for whatever reason. So there's upside to that and downside to that. It's been preserved and it's still there and it's been known about, and there's more histographic information about it than many other sites. But at the other end of that, it means it's been kept clean from an archaeological point of view.
Well, that's true. But the thing that gets me about it is when you look at the scale of the stones that have been used to put that together, the whole thing is just so monumental that it kind of, even though it has its similarities with the other dolmens in the region, that just the scale of this, the building of this, must have been for something that was way more important for those people. It seems that way to me, anyway. The fact that it's got a 200-ton capstone, that's immense on every level.
Is that the English ton or the metric ton?
That's the English ton. It's 180 metric tons. 200.
I have
British
150 metric tons or thereabouts. Yeah.
Do you? No, I have 180 metric tons on my notes. But anyway, whichever is the correct one. 200 British tons is
pretty good. I'm going to refer to it a little bit in metric tons here because it's what I've got and I can't do the mental arithmetic. But the total weight of all those supporting stones and the capstones is about 480 metric tons.
Amazing.
Sorry, 840. Did I say 480?
You said 480.
No, 840.
Not even similar.
Yeah. The
840 metric tons.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The five biggest stones incorporated are 44 tons, 51 tons, 68 tons, 87 tons, and 149 tons.
Wow.
There is a very good document. I think it's from the visitor centre at Dolmen de Menga that shows how they think it may have been constructed, which actually is a very good and well-studied thing. So I hope you'd be able to have a look at that. It's quite informative about how megalithic monuments may have been built in the past anyway, to see this animation of groups of people moving stones about in that way. And the forethought and the planning that goes into these things is phenomenal. The other special thing, before we wrap up on this one, which, because there's so much to it, I think it's fair to give it a bit of breadth at the beginning, is its alignment. When we talk about alignments, almost certainly, we're aiming at the, sunrise or sunset on a particular day. This is unusual because it points sort of towards the solstice, but not. It's actually a few degrees north of the solstice alignment. What it's actually aligned on is a rock, a couple of miles distant. Anyway, extraordinary rock. Looks like a face pointing out of the landscape, and it's pointing at a cliff in this edifice where it's known that there was Neolithic activity in the past. It's called La Peña de los Enamorados, the Rock of the Lovers. There's another story about that, about two lovers, one Muslim, one Christian. We're talking about 15th century here, that were chased onto the rock and leapt to their death rather than face, sort of a Romeo and Juliet story, which was well known,
But I think it's the only site, isn't it, out of all the dolmens in the region, isn't it the only one that doesn't point to a solstice or equinox?
That's right. Yeah, it points to this rock, and I think if you see the pictures here, you realise that this must have been really, really very significant. In fact, at the base of that rock, there are signs of Neolithic activity going, dating back to previous to Dolmen de Menga. And I don't know about your imagination, Rupert, when you've got a 100-foot cliff and stuff going on at the bottom of it, when we understand that things were not all unicorns and rainbows in the Neolithic, you wonder what may or may not have been going on.
Yes.
Anyway, on that little bit of news or conjecture, I think that's about it, as much as we can tell you about Dolmen de Menga in this little bit. Oh, the well. It's got a well. It's one of the few places that have got a well.
I'd forgotten that. Yes, it does.
The problem with the well is that it can't be dated. It's not been dated. And considering that it seems to have been in use from the year dot since it was built right up until now, putting a date or asserting that it was built at the same time or put down at the same time as the tomb, as the dolmen, we can't really go there. So that's it, Dolmen de Menga. Hope you enjoyed that bit. On to the next.
Great site, yeah.